talk a lot about today about restoration. We talk a lot about the opportunity. So this next one, we want to bring somebody that has really built something from the ground up. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the CEO and founder of Viola, Al Harrington. Come on, make some more noise for him. Make some more noise for him. There we go. He came straight out of the car. Didn't waste any time. I appreciate it, man. It's good to have you.
You know what's fucked up is, I told you I had an hour, so I got high. Now I'm high as hell. I gotta talk.
This is how we do it. So we're gonna get to realness.
Word. Big shout out to my brother Fresh. He's dropping this strain called Beef and Broccoli. This shit's some guys.
Camera's right there. Hit the camera.
Guys. ATM Boys, Viola, coming soon. Jersey.
Uh-oh. Jersey stand up, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, so we in New York. We in Bed-Stuy. The whole day, we've been talking about how do we build a community that's equitable, that's reflective of what we stand for. The first thing I want to talk to you about starts with the origin of your company, named after your grandmother.
Yep.
And if you haven't heard the story, you should go look it up. We're not going to spend too much time talking about it. But your grandmother, praying every day, reading her Bible, a black woman. The elders in our community are sometimes the toughest to educate about what is going on. So tell me about your journey. How have you been talking to other people in your community and like pushing over those obstacles about like what is cannabis legalization and why should we be involved?
Yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for like, you know, for our grandmothers and great aunts and all that to feel the way they feel about cannabis, right? I don't think it's, you know, it's not as much about the usage of it. I think it has a part of it, but I really think that they were afraid because of how many lives was destroyed because of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we always know, like, until recently, 85% of all drug arrests in the black community was cannabis related. So you seen your sons and nephews and all that getting locked up for having nickel bags of weed, right? Why would you want them around that? So, you know, for me now, like with the story, you know, obviously my grandmother's story definitely helps a lot, right? Because she looked just like them and lived the life that they live. And, you know, for her to be 79 years old and, you know, be open-minded enough to try it, and it did work, and the first thing she did was go and read her Bible, was just something that I just think that it breaks down barriers for me, you know, when I get a chance to talk to elders and church leaders about, you know, allowing cannabis to come into our community, because the one thing that I let them know is eventually it's gonna happen, right? And when it does happen, we don't want it to be the same thing that's happened with the liquor stores and the corners, bodegas, like we don't own any of it, right? We want to have that ownership because we want to be able to decide how we pour back, you know, our funds and, you know, back into the community. So I think that's very important. So those are just some of the things I talk about, but definitely my grandmother's story like opens the door for me to have a conversation.
Yeah, and you started in Denver because. Fun fact here, I'm from Denver, a Denver Nuggets fan my whole life. I went in the nosebleeds watching you, so it's great to actually share the stage. But you had an opportunity in Denver, and that's kind of by chance that you were exposed to that, and decided to kind of hop in, test out the waters. You've grown an amazing company since, but in those early days, I would guess that you didn't quite know what you were getting yourself into. You didn't realize how complicated this was about to be. You didn't realize how the regulations are gonna change on you one day. You gotta switch up the packaging. So tell me about some of those first years when you're trying to figure out what's going on here. Like, how did you educate yourself about how this industry operates?
Well, you know, it's funny, right? Because my co-founder is actually here tonight. His name is Dan.
Shout out Dan.
Yeah, so we did it together, and thank God he knew how to read. And I knew how to read too and could understand shit because honestly, like, the attorney that we hired, all the shit that he was telling us to do was the wrong thing.
Wow.
It was like we was reading two different things. You know what I'm saying? So my point being is like when we started, it was not help readily available. It wasn't, you couldn't go Google help. You couldn't go to a website and get any information. We had to do all that shit on our own. And to your point, yes, we had a lot of ups and downs, man. We got robbed. We had bugs. We had regulatory issues. Like it's always something, you know what I'm saying? But we never quit. We never gave up. And, you know, we've been able to build this business to where, you know, hopefully by the end of 2023, we'll be in over 10 states and different things like that. But it's been a journey, man. I'm not gonna sit here and say this shit is easy. This shit is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. I tell people all the time I make this look easy because I can always put a smile on my face, but just know I'm stressed the fuck out. I'm trying to survive because, you know, this shit it hasn't gotten any easier and it's become more and more expensive. And until we get like all these regulatory issues in check with like safe banking and different things like that, where we can actually conduct businesses like everybody else, these challenges are always gonna be there. But to which yeah. But you know, and I'm sure we're gonna get to this as we continue to talk. But like, you know, one of the main things for us to be able to survive in this shit is we're gonna have to work together, because you know, the powers that be, the competitors, they do not want this to be inclusive for us. They say that
Facts.
shit, but that's not what they really mean. They want it to be inclusive to the point where they're gonna, you know, buy us out for pennies on a dollar type situation, you know? So we just have to always be conscious of that, and we cannot look at each other in this room as competitors. We have to figure out how we can get aligned and work together if you're gonna win in this space, I swear to God.
Yeah, make some noise for that, for real. So before you hit the stage, we just did a quick exercise. We made everybody meet each other. Nothing crazy, right? But the reason we did that is, to your point, the dispensary that's gonna be on this corner and the dispensary 2 blocks away, you guys aren't competing with each other. You're cooperating, because there's much bigger sharks looking at both your dispensaries, and they're about to eat them if we don't operate together. So when we talk about working together, you're gonna talk to that dispensary, you know, a couple blocks away, like, yo, did you see the regulations change? You see the packaging change? What are you guys doing about that? And that's how we collectively can build.
Let me cut you off, but you gotta think about it. Like, the only way that you're gonna really benefit from your dispensaries, there's gonna be something called a roll-up, right? When this money comes, that's gonna come in to either partner or buy and consolidate, they're gonna want multiple, not one.
Facts.
So to your point, why not just have some form of an alignment, even if it's just a line of communication, that when those times come, instead of you coming to buy one, it's all 10 of these available at a 10 times multiple compared to selling yours by yourself at a 2 or 3 time multiple. You understand what I'm saying? Like, all of it's strategic. It's very strategic. But the key is, how do we work together as a community? Because that's what cannabis fosters. It fosters a community. Like, that's what I really focus on with my company, is always trying to figure out, like, how can I bring people that are like-minded, that are from different walks of life together to collaborate? Because when I think about what cannabis has done to me, number one, it's made me with friends with people I would have never been friends with if it wasn't for a joint. I use an example of like a guy I played against, Paul Pierce. I hated his fucking guts. I wish he died until we smoked weed together. Now he my man. You know what I'm saying? So like, that's how I view cannabis, man. Like, and I think that's what we got to use it for, man. It has a superpower. You know what I'm saying? And we have to unlock that superpower. And I think the way we unlock it is by having moments like this and then moving from this to the next thing, but moving together.
Facts. Paul Pierce. Shout out to Paul Pierce.
He laughs when I say that shit, but I hate his fucking guts.
We'll make sure we put that one on Instagram. No, but what you're talking about is building the community up, and together we're better for it. I read something, or maybe it was a podcast preparing for this, that by partnering with the people that you did, you created more millionaires, more black millionaires. And I know a lot of people aspire to that. We want to be very real that it's about to be hard. It's not all roses just to get to the top here. But talk to me about your goal to create 100 black millionaires. And what are you doing, and how are you trying to do that?
Yeah, man, I'm just trying to use my platform as a gateway or a bridge to the other side. Two examples is like, so through both of the companies, right? So you have, Village, right, which is a company that me and my co-founder founded together. And what we do is we go after all limited licenses across the country, right? So when I used to always look through that process, part of it had like community re-engagement and all these things, social equity components. And what threw me off was white-owned companies would get perfect scores. And I'm like, how do they get a perfect score when they've never been in that community? They know nothing about, like, how can that plan even, who gave it, who justified it? You know what I'm saying? So for us, since we want to combat that, what we do is when we go into a different state, we'll find local partners that can partner with us. So we've done it in Fresno, California. We've done it in Illinois. Illinois. We've done it in Missouri and Maryland. So we put like 3 or 4 different local people, and like one is like one of my homeboys that runs the Boys and Girls Club. You know what I'm saying? So they all get on this application with us. We show how we're going to use community engagement, and when we win these licenses, it has a value to it, so they become instant millionaires with us. You know what I'm saying? So that's one way we do it. And then on the Viola side, we like to do incubator programs, right? So like my homeboy who I just mentioned, Fresh, right? So I would say we would put him in an incubator program because he's made an unbelievable brand from the mud, but, in the gray market.
Yeah.
So now Jersey is about to get stores and different things like that. His brand should be one of the first fucking brands to be on the shelf.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So because of our knowledge and our SOPs and all those type of things, we'll work with him to get him legally in the market. And I think that's where the 100 can happen so fast, because it's so many street brands that work in the gray market that have unbelievable
They out
following.
here.
They here.
They out here.
Why I'm amazed by them. So last thing, I got a lot of stories. So I was on the board of MedMen, right? So I did that. Everybody's like, yo, how can you sell out, be on the board of MedMen? I was like, because I want to see what public companies look like and what they saying about us. That's why I did it. So I get on the board. We go all do all these different meetings, but one day we're doing a deal with this company. I can't remember the name, but they said they were the LVMH of cannabis, right? So I do my research on the brand. They selling apes for $50, $60. I'm like, everybody got better weed than them, but it was the number, how much they make per pound. It was like 3,200. So I got up one day, we were in a board meeting, and I was like, let me just tell you something. I was like, the black market owns all the LVMH of weed brands. I'm gonna tell you why. They'll take this same bullshit ass weed that we growing, right? Make a dope ass bag and sell it for $6,000.
Facts.
They got it, not this shit.
But it's the brand.
You understand? But it's the brands that they're building and what they really mean to these communities. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think that we can happen the fastest. So y'all pray for me and wish us well. The more license we get in these limited states, we can bridge them and do deals with these companies and put them on the shelf.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So I just want you to know, you told me you do it 2 different ways. You partner with local entrepreneurs. How many local entrepreneurs we got in this tent today? Raise your hands. So if you're looking for Bed-Stuy, we outside.
No doubt.
All right?
Yes, sir.
Second one.
My wife from Gowanus.
Okay.
So she like, you better do something.
I should have used that against you when we were trying to get you to come. Use that next time. The second one, you said the incubation, using legacy operators that already have a brand. One more time, we out here. We out here. So the people that are here today, the people in the New York community, they ready for it. They're looking for people like you. But we also had a conversation about the predatory practices. So there are people that would be in a good position to work with a multi-state operator like yourself that want to come partner with social equity applicant. What are some of the things that you would say are like watch outs, like do not do this if somebody's trying to come at you with a deal like that?
No, the main thing is just, obviously what's tough is, right, we don't have the resources, right? We don't have multiple $1 million to go lock down real estate, so it puts us in a bad position where we gotta sign some of those predatory deals, which sucks, right? What I like about New York is, they supposed to come up with a lot of the funding, for the social equity applicants so that there's a real equitable opportunity, right? So, with that being said, in New York, hopefully that box is checked. But other people that have to deal with it, man, is just really just trying to sign it, know what you're signing, make sure you get the proper attorney to read the fine print, and just make sure you own what you're supposed to own.
How do you know if it's the proper attorney? That's tough.
I just said it, right? Well, normally, good ones by how much you pay an hour. So if your attorney wants $25 an hour, he ain't the one.
Or your cousin.
Try to find somebody around $3.50 an hour. But
This is New York. I don't know about that.
But yeah, man, you just got to find a good attorney. But that's some of the stuff that we can help out with. So my email is al@violabrands.com. I have a pretty good team that look and will what's the word I'm looking for? We'll investigate what the opportunity is, and if it's something that makes sense, it's something that we're willing to step up and help with.
For sure. We've done a couple panels and conversations with really dope people like yourself, like Styles P. We had Sherbinsky's up here once, and people offer something like that. Hey, hit me up. Here's my email. Here's this is how you get a hold of me. So many people don't take advantage of that. So I'm gonna tell you right now, he just gave you his email, guys. Make sure you're on it. Sorry, you're gonna regret that now.
It's all good. No, it's good. I don't answer the emails at first. I got somebody to do that for me.
I got it now. Okay, so I do think that there's something else that's really important when you're starting a company. So there's the legal part, there's getting the license, and that's no easy feat. But what happens, I've seen a lot of times, is that people under-invest in marketing. And they don't really build out their brand from there. They think hey, it's smooth sailing, get that license, weed sells itself, will be good. But you've seen in every other market, it starts to differentiate. So how have you kind of made your brand different? What was your unique value prop? Or how did you come about this differently?
Yeah, well, I think the two ways, right? One, because of the platform, meaning I'm always advocating and different things like that. So obviously it's almost like a cheat code for me that I'm kind of always in front of people. But one of the other things for the brand is all about being innovative. It's just trying to see what's next. How can we push packaging? How can we push the look and feel? How can we push billboards? Whatever opportunities that actually present themselves to us. But for me, I think that I surround myself around younger dudes or kids or whatever. I call them kids. They're in their 20s. And they just keep me, because I'm obviously older, so I know what I like. But then they also let me know what's kind of coming and understanding the value of the bags. We started with jars, and jars was definitely a huge thing, because at that time, nobody was packing them, their product in jars. But now bags dominate. Everybody likes the coolness of the way they look and all the different things you can do with it. So now we're going to bags, right? We got some cool bags. We got a vibe campaign that we're launching. And for that, it's just really about trying to allow the customer an easier experience when they come into the store, right? Because understanding customer behavior, most people come into dispensaries not knowing what they want. So they're usually asking the bud tenders and different things like that. So for us with Vibes, we felt like we created that, right? So our sativa-based strain is Get Up and Go. Our sativa hybrid is Good Times, right? Our indica is Lights Out, and our indica hybrid is Kickback, right? So you come in, you just I want to feel like this. Hopefully, that'll make that bud tender prompt them to turn and say, one of these strains for Viola will work. Right, so just always just trying to be, innovative, can't get stale. This industry moves at 1,000 miles per minute. Things are always changing. Jars might be back in 2 years, right? But we just got to be ahead of it.
There's something else you mentioned there that I think can't be overstated, is the importance of a diverse team, right? To have people that have a different perspective, that are yo, bro, you're tripping. You gotta go into these bags, and you're still thinking jars or anything, right? So what are some of your pointers for creating the best possible team? What do you look for?
Yeah, like you said, it's got to be diverse, right? I think that if everybody kind of got the same idea, it's probably might be a little off, right? You need somebody in there kind of challenging the ideas and saying, well, I think that's whack. Why you think that's going to work? Having those challenging conversations to make you actually really flush out your way of thinking. So I've just learned that, I usually have a lot of women around me because they're very opinionated. And they're gonna tell you so I got this new product, right, that I wanna put out called the drip, right? So it's it's flavored, you drop it into the water, 5-10 milligrams, right? You hit it. But the first thing when I showed it to the girls, they was that give me date rape vibes. So I was damn, I gotta rethink this.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, facts. Good thing you had that.
Right, you know what I mean? So it's just really having those kind of people around is just really impactful, and it really just help you kind of stay on your toes but always be thinking forward.
Yeah, I have a rule. I had a startup that didn't work out like 6 years ago, and you could assess what went wrong with it or whatever, but honestly, I'm never gonna start another company without a woman. Right. Because I was just so blind to other things. Like, shout out to the women entrepreneurs, you know what I'm saying? For real.
They just, bro, you know what's they superpower? They see the bullshit.
Yo, if anybody knows Lulu, my co-founder, you gotta check the Lulu vibe check.
So fast, dog.
So quickly. And
see that shit. Superpower.
I'm like, how did we survive? Men
damn,
were
if
just
I had her here the
pathetic.
whole time, everything would be different.
Facts. All right, yo, so a couple more things. One other piece that I think is very important is capital. And I think there's probably a misconception that because you come from the NBA, you got access to high net worth, money's flowing, it's probably easy. But if I were to guess, it's still tough to raise that money, bro. It's still tough to make that pitch. People don't quite understand, they're risk averse, whatever. So there's a lot of us who don't maybe have the head start that you have. What are some tips that you would give to us of like raising money, finding that capital, being gritty to make it happen? What have you learned?
Yeah, that was gonna be the thing. It's just like, it's tough. Obviously I think that whenever there's a real opportunity in front of you, you can usually find funding. Just gotta be smart about it, gotta be resilient, gotta just keep pushing, knocking on every door until you get what you need. One of the things that I've learned is don't grow too fast. Sometimes take your time, really lock in what you're doing. You know what I'm saying, before you go to the next project, right? Because 9 times out of 10, if you really dial in that process, that opportunity can fund the next. Make sense? Move too fast, like, I need this money to take care of this one, take care of that one, and then you can get kind of over your skis, as they say. Yeah. But the raising capital is very, very difficult. I think that, once again, working together is the way that you can make it happen. Most people that I know, they usually, once they get that opportunity, they get that permit, they get whatever it is, that initial process, usually it's other people that are very bullish on the industry that will want to put up capital to be a part of something like that. So like that would be my first piece of advice.
Word. All right. So you're from this side of the country. Everybody knows that you started in Colorado with Viola, and it's kind of gone to all these different states. What are your aspirations for the New York and for New Jersey? What do we have to look forward to?
Yeah, so obviously I'm from New Jersey, so got to figure out how to participate there. So I know we have some retail opportunities, some partnerships for, cultivation and manufacturing, so we should get that done. New York is obviously very, very attractive to everybody. And same thing here. We plan on applying here to hopefully get, vertically integrated if it's possible. But if not, retail, whatever's, afforded to us.
For sure. There are plenty of people to partner with out here. Al, my man, it's been a pleasure. I'm honored that you came through to pull up. Thank you. Everybody make some noise for Al.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it. Thank you.